Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MMA game. It is your boy, the Rasta Cam Roget, coming to you live from the MMA Game Studios. Yes, in beautiful San Diego. Now, today's episode is special because we are going to recap the year fights, the beautiful moments that came to us. Thank you, UFC. Now, before we dive in, I got to introduce you guys to my brother, my dude, my man, Mr. Bear Paw himself, Ryan Cariss. Yo, Cariss, what's the word?
My brother, my gunner, my homie, my guy, my dude, Cameron Roget. We are blessed, again, brother, to be back in the studio and talk about the UFC 2024 recap, dude. We had some banging fights this year. Big ones. And some really nice UFC 300, for example, is my favorite of the year. And we will get to that in a little while. I wonder why. Why do you think that one is? You know what that one is.
That's funny because mine's 298.
Oh, okay.
Mine's 298.
Okay, we'll get to that in a little while.
We'll get into it. It's at the beginning of the year.
It's a long time ago.
Yes.
Long time ago.
So, recapping the year. I think we definitely, do we want to start off with, we're going to start off. We're going to start off with the UFC Fight Night that we attended Saturday, January 13th, Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker, numero dos. Now, I think both of us, we were in our feelings.
Big time on this one.
I think we were just there, and it was a big fight.
And we were sitting next to Johnny Walker's personal coach.
Yeah, it was
his mental coach or whatever it was. Was it something like that? What was he?
It wasn't a mentor.
No,
it was
mental coach. That men's side of it. Mental. Yeah, good guy.
Yeah, real nice dude. Real nice dude. We were all hyped up, and then it fucking got quiet. Fucking crickets.
That's not the result that we wanted.
Because our boy got dropped.
He sure did.
But, dude, Ankalaev's a big dude.
Yeah.
That guy's huge.
He is, and that's why he's fighting for the title pretty much sometime soon.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, he's not. Pereira already said no.
Come on.
He said no.
If the UFC says fight this guy, they're going to be like, okay.
Yeah, but we all know it's gonna be a fucking boring ass.
Yes, it is. It's gonna be take him down and.
But who knows?
Hump his leg for a little while. He said he wasn't gonna do that, but we'll see. We'll see.
So that one was pretty cool.
That was good.
That was
a good one. That was entertaining. That was entertaining. But there was a couple other fights on that one actually. That was the Marcus McGee fight. There was
got a little camera time on that.
Yes, Gene Silva, the Brazilian that came out, the dog barking guy. Yes, we're gonna talk about him in a little while. Joshua Van.
Oh yeah.
Matthew Semmelsberger, Andrei Arlovsky versus Waldo Cortez Acosta, and then we got to see the Bruno Ferreira versus what was his name? Hafez. Yes, that's what it was.
You want to pull it up?
Oh no, you're okay. You're okay. But we had those, and those were entertaining.
Yeah, it was Phil Haas.
Phil Haas. That's what it was.
That was performance of the night for Bruno.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. So when we go through this, guys, we're going to go through fight of the night, performance of the night, and the main guys on the card because there's just too many fights sometimes to go over. But we'll give you some of the main ones that actually had a significant meaning during this UFC. So what do we have now?
Juicy. Oh, I have to refresh since I clicked on that one.
we're at UFC 297 is what we're at. It's on January 20th. You want to say who the main people were? Yes, you do.
Good. UFC 297. It was Strickland against Duplessis.
DDP.
In Toronto. Scotiabank Arena. To me, I thought it was a bit of a upset because I had Strickland winning that.
Same here.
But it was good, though. It was good because we got to see Duplessis in, I think, a different light. And I think that actually put a little bit of respect on Duplessis' name. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I think I left this fight becoming a little bit of a fan.
Yes, on that one. And it's always nice when you hear and new.
Yeah.
UFC middleweight champion of the world.
But we know that's going to get run back, though.
It is. So that's actually going to be coming back on is that the January 18th one?
In 2025. That's what.
Or is that March? Off the top of my head, don't remember.
No, it's in Sydney, right? So it's got to be March.
It's got to be March.
Yeah, it's got to be March.
Okay, it's got to be March.
Got to be March.
Also on that card was the women's bantamweight title between Raquel Pennington versus Mayra Buena Silva.
Oh yeah.
Because Lioness Amanda Nunes vacated the belt, and therefore Raquel Pennington won that fight. Well done for
Rocky.
Good job, Rocky. And then you had Arnold Allen versus Evlov, and I was upset about this one because I was pulling for Arnold Allen this one, and then Evlov ended up pulling it out. It was good for him.
Yeah, I was definitely
well
going
done
for Evlov.
I know. Then there was Charles Jourdain versus Sean Woodson. You were going for Charles Jourdain on this one.
My guy,
and then you realize that Sean
like
Woodson has some really good hands.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm going to pay attention to Sean Woodson.
But I can't. The Charles Jourdain for me is entertaining.
I'm still watching that guy. And then you had Ramon Tavares versus Serhi Saidi on that one. And the reason why we're bringing up Ramon Tavares is because later on in the year, you were saying Ramon Tavares is going to win. I think he fought Davey Grant. I think that one was. We'll get to it later. I think that
later in the year.
Yes, later on. Other than that, that was it on that card. That was worth mentioning. Was there anybody else that you want to mention on that one?
No.
Okay.
No, we're good.
Okay.
And then after that, February 3rd, in the Apex, the UFC Fight Night, the lead set against Imavov.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been telling you, Imavov's a fucking problem, and as we see his next fight, it's going to be a big one for himself.
For the title, right? It's a title fight.
Nah, he got Izzy.
Ah, I'm sorry.
He's got Izzy.
He's
That's going to be a good test.
That is a very good test. That's going to be a test for Izzy on that one too. Let's be real, because he might try to take him down.
Any performance on that one?
No, I did not.
Okay.
There was, but I didn't write that one down. I got a couple of them later.
All good, because moving on into the next UFC Fight Night we had, that was on February 10th. Hermanson against Pyfer, which I think shocked everybody because I don't think anybody had Pyfer losing that fight, and he ended up not getting the dub.
No.
That was surprising, at least to me. Surprised. That was probably more surprising than anything else in the fucking card.
Probably, because everyone had, I think even the odds were for Joe Pyfer, and he was the underdog and he ended up winning. So well done, Hermanson. Also on that fight, that was the Dan Ige versus Andre Touchy-Feely. There was also Brad Tavares versus RoboCop, and RoboCop heavily won that one. And then there was Trevin Giles versus Carlos Prates. And the reason why I bring that one up, I think I'm going to be bringing up Prates during this entire time that we're going to be talking right now, because he's got wins after wins after wins. He's going to guy that we're going to be talking about next year also. Maybe a dark horse, maybe a potential title fight for this guy by the end of next year.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think there's a lot of guys that we're going to probably mention a lot in 2025.
I think so.
I think their trajectory after this year was fucking huge.
It was.
Just like the next guy I'm going to talk about, because in the next one we had UFC 298. Your boy was there sitting very, very close, so close I was able to see this next guy's family. We had Volkanovski versus Topuria. Ooh. This card to me is going to be my card of the year
in Anaheim. You were there.
Because not only was I there, but I called it. I said that this man was going to be fucking champion. I've been a big fan of Topuria. Finally seeing it in person, calling out the knockout, seeing it happen before my eyes, screaming with his family. Guys, yes, this is going to be my pick.
For the year?
For the year.
For the fight of the year? Or just the event of the year that you're happy about?
Moment of the year. Okay. This will be my moment of the year.
Okay.
How's that?
Interesting. Even though potentially Max was bigger than that one for the UFC 300 knockout, because it was the knockout of the year. Or we're just going to get to that later.
Nothing could be bigger than winning the UFC title for the very first time. Okay. I think against Max, he's defending it. This one kind of solidified him as he has arrived. And what better way than knocking out Volkanovski?
Right.
Like, come on. Who else would have thought that? In the fashion that he did it, right? How disgusting it was. And he called it. How confident he was in that moment. I think there's other fights on that card too that were pretty special. The Paulo Costa against Robert Whittaker for me was fun to fucking watch. Like, that was a really, really good fight. Also on that one,
Jeff Neal versus
was your favorite Ian Gary, right? Me at least getting to see Ian Gary in person, and I think that's why for the rest of the year I was on his coattails
on
because
his jock.
He's fucking good, bro. He's fucking good. I know you don't like him, but look what he did to Shavkat. He showed everybody a blueprint to beat Shavkat. So that's just showing you how good Ian Gary is. Enough of me talking about 298.
You're good on that one because we also had Davashvili versus
Marabi. Yeah,
on that one.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Now the memories are coming
back. See? That's why we got to throw some of these fights out so you know. We also had a performance of the night by Fluffy Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov.
Yeah, that was good.
So Fluffy put his name on the UFC like, who's this guy? Yeah, it's Fluffy.
Upset.
It's Fluffy on that one, right? Then you had Josh Quinlan versus Danny Barlow, the left hand to God. And Danny Barlow. I had to put that one out because that's Danny Barlow's like first fight, and please pay attention to this guy. KO for Danny Barlow, and we had Oban Elliott versus Val Woodburn. and I'm starting to become a fan of Oban Elliott. I said later on in the year that he was going to beat somebody, and he actually did. He's entertaining to watch, and he's a fun, entertaining guy. So that was a good win by him. So those are the ones that I put down for UFC 298.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Good.
I hope you guys agreed with that one. Maybe you had one more, but
next, after that one, in the UFC Fight Night, so we were back. Oh, this time we're in Mexico.
Ooh.
Right? We had Moreno against Royval numero dos.
Sure did.
It was, it was, I think, a scrap.
Mm-hmm.
But it helped Royval kind of push himself forward because he ended up getting the win.
He did win that one.
But I think the most important fight on this one was actually the YEAR against Brian Ortega.
Yes.
And that's where I was
performance of the night
I
also
fucking juiced about because you guys know I love T-City.
Mm-hmm.
T-City getting it done in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously submission in the third round.
Yep.
But it was well deserved.
It was very, very well deserved. Very well deserved.
Thoughts?
By the way, I met T-City the other week. I think I texted you on that one. He was at my work, and I was driving by, and all of a sudden I'm like, that's T-City right there. And I just said, T-City. And he turns around and looks at me, and I said, hey, bro, I just sorry to have to shake your hand. You're having a great career, brother. Keep it up. Happy to watch you. Hey, he was chill. I should have taken a picture, but it was one of those like, I don't really care. I'm just supporting him.
Right? Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, so
he does. I didn't see him out there, but they were already on the field and stuff. But I was just like, oh, it's T-City sitting right there.
Yeah, that's dope.
The other one on that card was the fight of the night from Daniel Selhuber versus Francisco Prado, and that was an intense fight. If anybody needs it, go back and watch that one. That was a good one. You also had Edgar Chairez versus Daniel Lacerda on that one, and that's Edgar Chairez's coming out party a little bit because you were talking about him later on in the year on that one. And then you had Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Denise Bondar on that one. Mm-hmm. And that was Ronaldo Rodriguez. He fought later on in the Sphere. That's the reason why I'm bringing him up, because he's one of those guys that you just need to pay attention to. So that was a good little fight night on that one. Mm-hmm.
And then
what do we got next?
The next fight night, we have Rosenstruik against Gaziv. That was at the Apex.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, in the main event at least, you had Jairzinho Rosenstruik winning that one.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I think probably the guy that I was really high on for the year. Actually, there's two guys that fought on this.
Yep.
It's Muhammad Makayev and Umar Nurmagomedov. Those are two guys who I really, really enjoy watching. They came out. They both got dubs in that one. Other than that, that's it for you, boy.
Nothing much else on that one. Yeah. Oh, sorry. There was Matt Schnell versus Steve Erceg. On that card, that was the one where Steve Erceg knocked out Matt Schnell and got his title shot because of that knockout on that one. So that's why I wanted to bring that one up during this one. And then there was also the fight of the night was Vinicius Oliveira versus Bernardo Sopaj, and that was that flying knee where he just jumped in the air and kneed him in the face and knocked him out. And that's when I was telling you the Vinicius needs to be called Vicious on that one because he's an absolute stud. What do we got next? UFC
well, after this, somebody else that took a knee to the face, but he ate it.
He did eat it.
It says UFC 299. This is when we were split like crazy. Almost got in a fight here in the studio. Good thing it didn't happen. It was O'Malley against Vera numero dos that took place in Miami. Sean O'Malley showed why he is levels above
Performance
Chico.
of the night. Performance of the night
Levels
for him on that
above
one. And still on that one. We also had a couple. Wait, that was this one right there. Yes, it was. We had Dustin Poirier versus BSD, which got the fight of the night. There was also Kevin Holland versus MVP. We had Gilbert Burns versus JDM. Yeah. And then there was Peter Yan versus Song Yadong. Peter Yan won that one. I was very upset about that one because Song Yadong I was pulling for. He was my dark horse on the year.
He looked good too.
He looked good. That was actually just a good fight. Yeah. Performance of the night was Curtis Blades versus Jailton Almeida because Jailton Almeida was supposed to submit him, and Curtis Blades was able to hang on and just take him out on that one. You have Michelle Pajeda, which was performance of the night versus Michelle Olegjacek. And then you also have performance of the night, Rubelas de Spain versus Josh Parisian. And I'm bringing that one up because that was Rubelas de Spain's only win throughout the year. And later on in the year, he got kicked out of the UFC. Later, he got cut. So just had to bring that one up.
After that, we had a UFC fight night, Tuivasa against Tybura. Main event. That was the main event.
Yes, it was. And that was the performance of the night was by Tybura because he took out Tuivasa. During that card, there was also the co-main event, which was the Battle Butcher, Brian Butcher versus Andre Lusa. And the reason why I bring that one up was because that was the one where Brian Battle says, I was whooping your ass. And he quit because he got an eye poke.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Brian Battle, to me, dude, and I'm going into current times now.
Go ahead.
I
Go
went
ahead.
up with him. I liked him. His last performance.
It went downhill. Yes. Yeah.
Now, I know he won the last fight,
he
but
lost. We said
you
he
miss
lost.
weight. You miss weight, dude.
4 pounds.
That's a problem.
4 pounds.
Now, I get the other guy signed on, but you got to remember, too, the other guy's trying to get a check.
Mm-hmm. Was it Randy Rude Boy Brown? Was that one? I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was Rude Boy.
Yeah, because Brian Battle's next fight after that was actually pretty entertaining. Remember, that's when he beat the guy in France.
Yes. And we're going to get to that. Yeah, I was whooping your ass. And that was it for that one.
Okay.
That was it for that one.
Next UFC fight night, we had Hibas against Namuhunis. That's Thug Rose for you that don't know her last name.
Thug Rose on this one. And I went for Hibas even though I know Thug Rose was going to win.
Yeah, I think we both went for Hibas on that one.
Yes. And the performance of the night was your dude. Peyton Talbot versus Cameron Simon. And this was, I don't want to say his coming out party because he's already had a coming out party, but to be able to do what he did against Cameron Simon, that just shows the level of Peyton Talbot going forward.
But here's my thing. And now I'm going on a little Peyton rant because I've heard multiple other podcasts come out and talk about Peyton and how he's going to have an astounding year. I just want everybody to know I was the first motherfucker to put this man's name out there.
He was.
Nobody else was talking about
I don't remember
Peyton.
anybody talking about Peyton.
I was the very first one after seeing him perform on Dana White's Contender Series.
Yep.
After that, I've been talking about Peyton. So I just wanted to be known. The MMA game brought up Peyton before anybody else. And if anybody else got a problem with that, you know where you can find me.
Guys, we listened to plenty of MMA stuff that we know that nobody else talked about this. That's why we're very high on this one. That's why he is, because he said it first. I'm going to back him on that one. Mm-hmm.
Fucking did my homework. Anyways,
you did.
Shit, they over here looking at my answers and fucking putting it out there. Shit.
That was a good one.
After that, UFC Fight Night, we had Blanchfield against Fijo.
This is the one where we kind of talked about Aaron Blanchfield winning this, but we're like, oh no, that's Fiora. She's a different striker.
Yeah, we didn't realize how good she was.
Yeah, and the fact that she was able to stuff Aaron Blanchfield's takedowns, so Aaron couldn't take this to ground and change it and put it back in her world. She was able to stand up. She does. That was in New Jersey. You also had Vicente Luque versus Joaquin Buckley on that one, and that's where Joaquin Buckley to be like show like, hey, I can fight guys, I can beat guys like a Vicente Luque.
What a year for him!
I know.
What a fucking year.
And that's why I'm bringing it up on this one. That was a great start for him. You also had the comeback of Weidman versus Bruno Silva.
Oh yeah, fucking Weidman.
Questionable win because it was an eye poke. And therefore, the referee didn't stop it. And Weidman kept going forward, being like, dude, you got to protect yourself. So he took him out. So it was a little questionable one on that one. That's why it was. Also, on this card, we had the performance of the night from Nate Landwehr versus Jamal Emmers on that one. And that's when this is how I kind of got on Nate Landwehr's kind of train because he's known as a train. But I got on his train on this one, being like, dude, if you keep doing those performances, you're going to be a star. You're going to be watched. You're going to be moving forward with the UFC. But unfortunately, I think he lost his next fight.
Happens in the fight game. It's always how you
part of it.
The few will hunt. After that, in the UFC Fight Night, Allen versus Curtis Numero Dos.
Disappointing.
Oh, that was at the Apex too.
Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah, I know.
Disappointing because Allen lost.
B. Allen lost. We like B. Allen over here, guys. Good dude. Also, the fight of the night on that one was Morgan, the Last Pirate Cherrier versus Chepe Mariscal.
Yeah, and I like Chepe. I like Chepe. And I think after this fight, I jumped on Cherrier's bandwagon.
I told you to jump on that one.
Not only because
and you were a Chepe fan. You moved over.
I like pirates, guys. I'm fucking sorry.
Mariscal won that one.
Anything with a pirate, I fucking like it. So when I heard his nickname, I was like, okay, respect.
Chepe won that one, but Morgan Cherrier actually won that fight. That's what we had said during that one.
That was a good one.
And that was the, I don't want to say coming out party for him, but yes, it was. Right? That's where kind of everybody knew who he was at that point.
And then after that, I think this is when it got real juicy because nobody knew what the UFC was going to do. It was getting crazy. We kept hearing about the spear. We had heard about Connor and Chandler. And then we got UFC 300, Pereira against Hill. Probably gave us one of the best memes, I think, for the year when it comes to fighting, aside from the Max Holloway one. But yeah, I think Pereira doing that, Pereira, especially off the cup check, dropping Hill's eyes, like
rolling back. I wasn't out. I was awake the whole time. No, you weren't.
Epic night for the UFC.
Yeah, very huge.
Yeah, it was cool. It was pretty cool.
Night for the UFC.
What are the fights we have about?
Alex Perreira KO versus Jamahal Hill, round number 1. Right. We also had that was in T-Mobile, so we got our first and still of the year because the other ones have been and new. So that was the first and still. We also had the women's strawweight title for Zhang Weili versus Yan Shannon on that one. We both actually you went for Yan, did you? I went for Weili. Did you go for Yan?
I think we were split. I think we
were on that one because I know I went for Zhang Weili and I think you went for Yan. We also had fight of the night and performance
that was
of the night.
That was
by my dude, my brother.
Go ahead.
Blessed. Max Blessed Holloway versus Justin Gaethje. That's going to be
what belt?
The BMF belts on that one. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So well done on that one.
I mean, that's probably a moment that's I mean, if that does not get knockout of the year,
I think it already.
And there's been some great knockouts this year.
Yeah,
but that knockout.
That was the knockout of the year. It was just the whole thing is the fact that you're up 4 rounds and you're in the 5th round. Yeah. You could chill and sit back and just be like, okay, cool, I'm just going to take this, right? But for the last 10 seconds for you to point down at the ground and just throw it out and give Justin Gaethje a chance to knock you out, and then you actually connect in the last second and go down, like for the first person to ever put Justin Gaethje out.
Yeah, and I think too, like, oh, dude, and now I remember. I hosted this fight at my house with all my boys.
Yes.
And I think like for us, it was more like we knew what Justin Gaethje could do.
Yes.
And when I tell you guys, we acted like little kids when this happened. When Max dropped him,
I screamed and yelled.
I think everybody screamed. Yelling. Some people ran. Somebody ran out the house. Somebody ran into the kitchen. Like we all acted like little.
I jumped
kids.
On you like after a couple seconds. Like what?
Because we just couldn't believe it.
No,
couldn't fucking believe it. And
it was the moment of the year. It was one of the moments of the year.
Dude,
like for sure.
Sick.
For sure.
Like if I could just go back and bottle that moment,
that feeling, just everybody like
crazy,
holy shit,
crazy.
That's why I call that my moment of the year. Besides the fact that it was my guy to do it too. Like even if it wasn't my guy, I would look at that and be like, holy shit, no, that was the moment of the year.
Yeah,
that was for sure like the moment of the year because guess what? That wasn't even the main event. That wasn't even the main event. That wasn't even it. Because you also had the Zhang Weili fight. There was a title fight right before that, and the Alex Perreira in the main event. Like what? What?
It went on a high like after that.
Yeah.
Because when Alex just dropped the mic at the end.
And I didn't even put anybody else down for the rest of the card, but the rest of the card was just stacked and gnarly also.
Yeah. So. UFC did their job.
That was very well done by them. I'm buying a poster, by the way, that you'll see. I'm gonna buy a UFC 300 poster. It's got all the dead bodies around it and Max in the middle, just flexing.
Oh, that's sick. That's sick.
It's dope.
After that, it goes down a little bit, guys. Sorry, but it goes UFC Fight Night. You had Nicolau versus Perez. That was at the Apex.
He was performance of the night was Alex Perez, and he got the one on that one. They also had the performance of the night was Bogdan Guskov versus Ryan Spann. Guskov got the win on that one.
And then in between that, we had another pay-per-view. We had UFC 301. So right after 300, Pantoja versus Usyk, and I think
in Brazil,
everybody. This is where Pantoja showed like he's not getting beat anytime soon.
He's the dominant champ at 125.
He is not getting beat anytime soon.
Nothing.
And for me, obviously, I picked Pantoja to be the champion.
Yep.
And I'm probably going to stay riding with this guy because I don't see anybody fucking beating him unless he moves up in weight.
Right. My only other guy that I was talking about was even Moreno. And Moreno just won his last fight, but at the same time, it's like, no, bro, like, you don't have that. The one thing that I hope that Pantoja cleans up a little bit is his striking. A little bit. He's a little not as technical as he potentially could be, and I think he's going to put himself in the wrong spot where he's going to get caught. That's the only thing that I see happening.
I would agree with that, but do you remember how this Usyk fight went?
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Out. So I think he has it in the hands.
He does.
I mean, look at his past fight.
I'm just saying clean it up just a little bit.
He fought a boxer.
And he took him down.
Fucking like, the guy, he's so fucking good.
He's very good.
He's so good.
He's very good.
Scary. Anything else on that card?
Wait, were we on 301?
You're on 301.
Sorry, yes. We had Jose Aldo versus Jonathan Martinez. Jose Aldo ended up winning that one. I'm just bringing this one up because we had Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino. And the reason why I'm bringing that one up is because Vitor Petrino was supposed to win this fight. He was the hype on this one. He was supposed to take out Lionheart Smith, and Anthony Smith choked him out. So congratulations to Anthony Smith. On that one, we had the performance of the night, which was Michel Pereira versus YEAR Topuria. on that one. You also had performance of the night, which was Kai Baralio versus Paul Bearju Craig.
Oh, shit.
The reason why we're bringing that one up is because that was Kai Baralio's coming out party a little bit, being like, oh, you beat kind of the gatekeeper a little bit.
Yeah.
Well done. Now you're moving forward. Now you're going to have we're going to have a chance at a title fight. Performance of the night was Mauricio Ruffi versus Jamie Malarkey. I don't remember that one either, but I know it was performance of the night, and that we thought Jamie Malarkey was going to win that fight. I think that's why I put that one down, because Mauricio wasn't supposed to win that, but he did.
Okay.
He did. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moving forward, in UFC Fight Night, we had Lewis against Nascimento.
Mm-hmm. By the way, this was a banger fight night card that most people didn't really realize until all of a sudden it's over, and then you go back to the card and you're like, holy shit, like that's how many good fights were on that card.
Well, talk to us. What you got?
Okay. All right. So fight night May 11th was the Black Beast, Derek Lewis versus Nascimento, and he got the KO winner in St. Louis. That was not performance of the night. We also had Joaquin Buckley versus Nursultan Rosie Boa.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
We thought Rosie Boa was going to win that fight.
I like Rosie Boa.
I know. And then all of a sudden Joaquin just took him out because he's having this just rise right now. Right? Carlos Ulberg.
That's my boy.
Performance of the night versus Alonzo Menefield. That was the knockout in the first minute. He also had performance of the night. Diego Fajeda win KO against Matus Robeski. The reason why this one was gnarly was because Robeski was favored at -500 and Diego Fajeda was +380. And he ended up taking him out and winning that fight. Another one on this card was Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres versus Sean Woodson. And Sean Woodson ended up winning that fight. We had Waldo Cortez Acosta versus RoboCop. This one. And end up winning was Waldo Acosta, unfortunately. Was Robelis de Spain. That's who he fought against. Okay. Robelis de Spain. And he beat Robelis de Spain. We had Chase Hooper versus Borishev. You had Terrence McKinney versus Esteban Ribovic. Why do you think I'm bringing up this Terrence McKinney one?
Well, because Ribovic knocked him to another section. And Ribovic was also in Fight of the Night.
Yes, he was.
For Noche at the Sphere.
Yes, he was. That is wild. Fight of the night on this one was Billy Ray Goff versus Trey Waters. I know you don't remember that one.
Nope.
And then there was Charles Johnson versus Jake Hadley. And the reason why I'm picking up Charles Johnson just because Charles Johnson's doing well, and we were kind of thinking that he was going to lose that fight, and he ended up winning. So it was just a banger card. Like all of those fights were just nuts.
Juicy.
So it was good, and it's just weird because it was a fight night, not a pay-per-view. So everyone got it for free.
Next. And after that, UFC Fight Night. Another UFC Fight Night before the next pay-per-view. Barbosa versus Murphy.
Leroy Murphy.
And that was at the Apex
you were telling me about Leroy Murphy.
Yes, I was. I'm very high on Murphy. I still think he's a big contender in that weight class. He
is. The performance tonight was for Chaos Williams. He got a KO against Carlston Harris. We also had Themba Garimbo versus Ramiz Brahimaj. And then you had Adrian Yanez versus Vinicius Salvador, which Yanez won that fight. And you had Abus Magomedov versus Warley Alves, and Magomedov won that fight.
Okay. UFC 302. We had Dustin Poirier against Islam Makhachev.
Hey, and still. That was a good submission, though, bro. That was one of your favorite submissions, which is the Darce choke. When he took that foot and swung him and then just got cool. that was cool. That was really good technique on that one.
I mean, Islam's legit, man. I may not like him because who he's attached to, but he is good. And I'd give respect where respect is due. Same thing with Khabib.
Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. Split decision on that one. And the performance of the night was Kevin Holland versus Michel Oleksiejczuk.
Oh, dude, I remember that.
It was a good fight by Kevin on that one. And then you had Jailton Almeida versus Alexandre Romanov, and Jailton Almeida won that one, the submission. And you had Grant Dawson versus Joe Selesky. And I'm bringing up Grant Dawson because he's making a good little run right now. I think he's on a 3 or 4 fight win streak, and he's moving up through the division. And he's a fun guy to watch, and I like him. So pay attention. I think that was it.
After that, UFC Fight Night, we had Jared Cannonier versus Imavov.
Nasruddin Imavov ended up winning that fight in Kentucky. KO for him. He's the first one to take out
Yeah, that was nasty
Cannonier,
too. Remember
right?
he was like stumbling and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
That was bad.
yeah.
That was bad for Cannonier.
Also on that card, you had the comeback of Dominic Reyes versus Dustin Jacoby, and he ended up winning that fight. You also had Performance of the Night, which was a submission by Raul Rosas Jr. versus Ricky Tercios. You had Performance of the Night, which was Bruno Fajeda versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Jeez.
Okay.
And on this card, we had Performance of the Night, which is your guy, Zach Reese versus Julian Marquez. We had my guy, Puna Soriano versus Miguel Baeza.
I haven't seen Puna in a while.
I know, that's why I brought him up. And Performance of the Night, which was Carlos Prates versus Chuck Buffalo, Charles Radke. And I'm high on Charles Radke. I like Chuck Buffalo. And for Carlos Prates to be able to beat that guy, that says something about Carlos Prates. Huge on that one. So pay attention to Carlos Prates and Chuck Buffalo if you guys need to.
Okay.
Other than that, that's good on UFC Fight Night, June 8th, Ken Neer.
All right. So after that, we had a UFC Fight Night, Perez versus Taita. And if I do remember, I think I missed this one. This is probably one of the ones I did miss.
I think you might have missed this one. There was Performance of the Night by Tyra. He ended up getting the win, KO round number 2. You had Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Miles Johns. Bringing that one up. Performance of the Night was Brady Highstand versus Garrett Armfield. And then you had Josh Quinlan versus Adam Fugit, and Adam Fugit ended up winning that fight. So it was kind of one of just those cards that was in between. Nothing special. No bangers of the night that I wanted to talk about, but it was a decent little card. You didn't even see it, so it's okay.
Yeah, I think I want to say that's probably what I missed. After that, UFC Fight Night, the disrespect they put on my boy Robert Whitaker versus Aliskerov. That was in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Sticky Icky.
I didn't realize that was in Saudi Arabia.
Sticky Icky steps up in the last 2 weeks in order to be able to take this fight, and Robert Whitaker actually took it. I was a little surprised.
Yeah, I mean, Robert was a man on a mission. He was a man on a mission, and we'll get into Robert later.
And this was the up-and-comer guy, and that was the Performance of the Night by Robert Whitaker. He got a win, KO. I think it was round number 1 or round number 2. Also during this card, you had Sergey Pavlovich versus Alexander Volkov. Right, and the reason why that's significant is because Volkov just fought Cyril Gane at the end of the year, and this is why he was able to fight Cyril Gane, because he won this one. You had Performance of the Night, Shara Magomedov, the one-eyed pirate, versus Antonio Trucios. I think that's how you say his name, but I just wanted to bring it up because that's the one-eyed pirate. You also had Performance of the Night, which is Felipe Lima versus Muhammad Niamov. And we had one of our favorites over here, which is Renat Fakhretdinov versus Nicholas Dalby. And Fakhretdinov won that fight. Nicholas Dalby's an absolute beast. He's a warrior. So that's why it was a difficult one. And I'm surprised that, actually not surprised, but Fakhretdinov ended up winning that fight.
After that, we had UFC 303, the rematch that everybody was looking forward to. We had Alex Perreira versus Yuri Prohaska, number 2. And still. I mean, fighter of the fucking year.
Yeah. Performance of the Night, head kick, knockout, round number 2. Also during this card, is at the T-Mobile Arena, we had Dan Ige versus Diego Lopez. This was the catchweight fight because Diego Lopez couldn't get a fight. This was where T-City dropped out at the last minute, and this was where Dan Ige stepped up and within 4 hours and lived in Vegas and went to the stadium and ended up fighting. They did a catchweight. We also had Lionheart Smith versus Dolidze, and you end up Dolidze winning that fight. And there's his little downfall right now for Lionheart. You had Performance of the Night, which excuse me, I went to the wrong spot. Where are we at? We're at 303, right?
We are at 303, yeah.
Yes.
Because I was gonna say, I don't think Dan Ige happened on a pay-per-view.
No, it did because he came in. Yeah, he came in. Yeah, he came in. Dan Ige versus that one. Lionheart. Performance of the Night, Macy Chiasson versus Andre Buena Silva. You also had Ian Gary versus MVP. This is MVP's fight on that one. You had Ian Gary winning. You had Joe Pyfer versus Marc-Andre Barrialt. Joe Pyfer won that fight. And you had Fight of the Night, which was Cub Swanson versus Andre Touchy-Feely. Touchy-Feely won that one. You had Charles Jourdain versus Gene Silva. Gene Silva's the one that barks and all that. Yes, Gene Silva. And you also had Performance of the Night, Peyton Talbot versus Yanis Gamuri.
Hear that name again.
Peyton Talbot.
After that, UFC Fight Night, we had Namajunas versus Cortez. Cortez stepped in late for this one, right? She did. This is the one that she got punched and her fucking fake eyelash popped up.
Yes. Yeah, why do you need fake eyelashes when you're fighting? Come on. Come on. Don't need that.
So look cute.
You had the fight of the night, which is Drew Dober versus Gene Silva. Didn't I just say on the last fight card Gene Silva was? Yes, he was, because he was at featherweight, and then he went and fought lightweight the very next week in order to be able to step up, and he ended up winning. And he looked really good doing it. You had performance of the night, which was Charles Johnson versus Joshua Van, and you had performance of the night, Montel Jackson versus Damon Blackshear.
Okay. UFC Fight Night. After this, in the Apex, we had Lemos versus Jandiroba.
Yeah, this wasn't a very entertaining card all that much, but it's okay. Virna Jandiroba won that one against Amanda Lemos, which is a little bummer for you because you've been pulling for Amanda Lemos. Performance of the night was Steve Garcia versus Sean Woo Choi. Performance of the night was Bruno Silva versus Cody Durden. Another performance of the night was Haider Emil versus Zhang Li. Don't even know who those last ones are.
All good. All good. Because the next one, everybody knows these two fighters. UFC 304. This is when everybody was in uproar because of the time. It was a fucking bitch. For the people in Manchester, England, because this is where it took place. Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad, number 2. This is where we got well-deserved by Bilal Muhammad.
Very well deserved.
Put some respect on that man's fucking name.
And you got performance of the night, which was Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. Tom Aspinall won that one.
That was juicy. Remember, everybody was worried about it, and oh man, Tom is incredible.
He's
an incredible athlete.
You got him beating John Jones or no?
I mean, I just need to see it happen. I don't want to get into the debate if I think Tom. I just need to see it because, I mean, seeing John's last performance, incredible. But it's kind of expected. He fought against Stipe. Right? Yeah. So, but again, that's later in the show.
Performance of the night: Paddy Pimblett versus Bobby King Green on that one.
Yeah, that's when we thought Paddy was about to get knocked out.
You got Chris Leroy Duncan versus RoboCop.
Did you hear his next call? Did you see? There's a fight that it's going to be planned for him.
I think so. I'm just. Oh yeah. See you at the top.
How you feel about that? You think he gets tested now?
I think he gets tested. I think Michael Chandler puts it on him a little bit.
I think Chandler could fucking knock him.
I think so. I think so.
Because we all know Chandler forgets the game plan when he fucking gets hit.
Going at you.
And he comes.
He gets hit and all of a sudden it's like, no, I'm getting you back. Like immediately.
Like, I don't know if that's a good fight for that.
I don't.
Unless he knows he could take him to the ground and like kill him off.
But look at his ground game. He's a wrestler. He's a major wrestler.
And you got to get close.
Yeah.
I ain't getting close to Chandler when he's swinging. Anyways, okay. Sorry.
Ooh, that's actually kind of scary. Where are we at? 304? Yeah, because it was Tom Aspinall, Paddy, Bobby Green, CLD, Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. That was a tough one because Arnold Allen I was pulling for, and you were pulling for Giga. I think a little bit. Nathaniel Wood versus Daniel Pineda. You were going for Daniel Pineda. I was going for Nathaniel Wood on that one. Remember that just because I know that Pineda was a good fighter. I was a little nervous on that one. Bruna Silva beats Molly McCant. Yes, Molly McCant. Well done, Bruna Silva. Muhammad Makayev versus Manel Kopp. Muhammad Makayev won that fight. And then you had performance of the night. Mick Parsons versus Lucas Brzeski. Winner on that one.
And then after that, UFC Fight Night. I think this could have been actually on a pay-per-view. Sanhagen versus Nurmagomedov. Great fight. Great fight.
It was.
But again, just showed how good Nurmagomedov is.
And that's why he's got a title fight next. That's why it's coming up next. Also, fight of the night on that one was the One-Eyed Pirate. Shara Magomedov versus Michelle Oleksiejczuk. You also had on.
And that was in Abu Dhabi, by the way, because you know your boy with the one eye can't fight.
You can't come to the Apex. We also had Cheeto Marlon Vera versus the God of War. Well done, God of War. Pulled out the win on that one. You had Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa, submission winner Chiesa on that one. And you had performance of the night, Yoel Alvarez versus Elvis Brenner. You also had performance of the night, Azamat Mercikana versus Alonzo Menafield. That's 2 losses in a row for Menafield. He's going downhill. Tough one.
After that, UFC Fight Night, we had Tybura versus Spivak, number 2.
Sergey Spivak, performance of the night, winner on that one. You also had Damon Jackson versus Chepe Mariscal. Well done, Chepe. And Danny Barlow versus Nicolay Verrett. Well done, Danny Barlow.
Danny Barlow again.
Left hand to God.
He is good. After that, UFC 305. A lot of emotions.
Juicy on this one.
Everybody was tense for ass on because you had Duplessis versus Adesanya, Duplessis' first title defense in Perth, Australia.
Right. You had that back and forth.
Got fucking choked out.
He got beat.
Got choked out.
I think he gave up a little bit on that one at the end there. I think he did.
It shows how good Duplessis is.
It does.
I think from watching his earlier fight, I put a lot of respect on him in this fight. Coming in, I think everybody racially was picking sides.
A little bit, yeah.
And it went the way it did. But I think that's probably the best way it could have gone because Duplessis to me was better in that fight.
He was. And still.
And awkward too, because he's all over the place.
He's everywhere.
You know who had a good I think it was Daniel Cormier said it, that Duplessis fights like a white guy dances. I was like,
just awkward. Yeah, just awkward.
Just so awkward.
Unnatural.
But what else was on that card?
We also had performance of the night. Your guy, Kai Kara France, with the KO against Steve Erceg. That hurt me a little bit. The fight of the night was Matus Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. Had a baby, Hangman Hooker.
I forgot about Dan Hooker.
You also had Tai Tuivasa versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Well done, Jairzinho Rozenstruik. You had the performance of the night, which was Carlos Prates versus the Leech, Li Jinglin. You also had Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. I'm just bringing up Jack Jenkins because he's one of those guys that we're going to see a little bit more in 2025 because he's going to be going up through those ranks. And Herbert Burns is just Gilbert Burns' brother, so we got to throw that one out there, just a little respect because the Burns brothers are good fighters.
UFC Fight Night, Jared Cannonier versus Caio Borralho.
I think we just did that.
That was at the Apex. No, we just did Duplessis.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry. UFC Fight Night, August 24th. Yes, it was. Oh, by the way, that was Fight of the Night for Caio Borralho. He won that against Jared Cannonier. You also had Tabitha Ricci versus Angela Overkill. Tabitha Ricci, yes. And you had Performance of the Night, which was Michael Miles Morales, one of our guys, everybody. Michael Morales. We gave him the nickname of Miles because of Spider-Man. He won that one against Neil Magny. You had Performance of the Night, GM3 versus Edmund Shabazian. We were pulling for Edmund Shabazian on that one. We thought he was going to beat GM3. It was a little surprise. And then we had Zach Reese versus Jose Daniel Medina. Zach Reese, well done. Pay attention to that dude. He's entertaining. He's knocking people out. He's putting himself in the fire.
Oh, yeah.
Fun to watch.
Oh, yeah. And then after that, we had my guy in UFC Fight Night, Gilbert Burns, not my guy, against Sean motherfucking Brady.
At the Apex.
Wish we went to that one.
I know. I think I had an event that weekend or something I wasn't able to. But the fight of the night on that one was for Jessica Andrade versus Natalia Silva. We really like Natalia Silva over here. She's doing well. Performance of the night went to Steve Garcia. Win KO over Kyle Nelson on that.
Okay.
Entertaining.
Yep. And then this one when it got big because this is where we were at UFC 306 in the Sphere. And I think that put on one of the coolest shows, I guess you could say. Like,
most entertaining.
To see with the the screen and all that, were the fights all that? No, the fights weren't all that. Some people would say that the screen probably was more entertaining to watch than the fights. But it was still cool to witness. Do I want to see that at every pay-per-view? No, I'm good. I think once is enough. I should say.
Maybe if they do it 2 years from now or something, somewhere else completely different.
Or like the World Cup, every 4 years.
There you go.
But I thought it was just cool to witness, and the details that were added to that, the different worlds that these guys were fighting, it was really, really cool.
And how they changed the background and everything.
And also how it gave a lot of respect and love to the Mexican
culture.
Culture. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Hats off to the UFC on that. They absolutely killed it.
Well done.
Now, your main event was O'Malley versus Davishvili.
Wait, 306. 30. Why do I get? Oh, jeez, I was far down. All righty. So we also had in the women's flyweight title, forgot about this one, Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. And new for Valentina Shevchenko. I know. We also had Ortega versus Diego Lopez. We finally got that fight because they had canceled and they got back in the Sphere. Diego Lopez ended up winning that fight. You had fight of the night, Daniel Zellhuber. What do you know? Another Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovic. There you go.
That fight was fucking great.
Amazing. And then performance of the night was Ignacio Bahamedes versus Manuel Torres. I don't remember that one. But
nope.
It's okay.
Me either.
Don't matter.
After that, we had UFC Fight Night in Paris. Moicano versus Saint Denis. I was torn in so many places here. I don't even think I picked on this fight.
I think we both picked BSD. But then again, you might have gone with Moicano just for the fact that you're on the Moicano train, the money Moicano.
Still on it.
I know. Same. I jumped on really quick. I think it was after this fight, probably.
Yeah.
I think it was probably after this one. Moicano. Oh, we also had Imavov versus B. Allen.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And B. Allen ended up losing. Yeah. And then performance of the night was Brian Battle versus Kevin Jusset. And the infamous line of, you didn't think that the Butcher was going to lose to a French guy in a fist fight. And then performance of the night was Faris ZM versus Matt Frevola. Steamroller Frevola.
Yeah, that was cool. And then, I don't know why I thought this was later in the year, but I guess this one happened at UFC 307. Alex Perreira versus Khalil Roundtree Jr.
The turnaround was kind of quick on that one a little bit.
Again, fighter of the fucking year.
Easily.
But to me, this was probably the best light heavyweight fight, I think, all year.
It was fight of the night.
Like,
yeah.
Khalil,
one of the more entertaining back and forths. Yes.
Khalil, he was beating him, bro. Khalil was beating him.
He was.
Alex just figured out the puzzle and got it done. But Khalil is fucking good.
Right.
He's so good. And remember, at one point he was supposed to fight Jamahal Hill, which I would have really enjoyed that fight too.
Yes. Yeah.
But seeing
I forget why that dropped out. I forget why. I think somebody got hurt or something like that, right? So that's why he got the
title
fight.
Khalil got hurt. Khalil got hurt. That's what it was.
Oh, yes, he did get hurt. Yes.
Yeah. So, but him getting the title fight, unfortunately, he didn't get it done, but it put his name out there.
Khalil didn't get hurt. He got suspended.
Yes, you're right. It was something illegal.
He admitted that he got suspended.
He told the UFC about it.
He says, I took this. Unfortunately, I took this. Yeah. And they suspended him only for a couple months because he was the one that came out and said it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's what it was. Nice.
What else you had on 307?
307. That was it.
Okay.
No. Sorry, my bad. Pereira versus, sorry, we didn't say these ones. We had Raquel Pennington versus Pena.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to say that one. And new. And then we also had performance of the night. Joaquin Buckley versus Wonder Boy. Another fight, another win for Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah, that's when he dropped him. Yes, remember?
That's when he kind of threw that.
Yeah, he caught him right by the fence. It was like limp body.
I think that might be one of the last times we see Wonder Boy.
Yeah, it could.
I think we might see him one more time, but other than that, it's like, what are you fighting for? Like, you're not going for the title anymore. Unfortunately, we like Wonder Boy. He's old. He's a little older, so let's let him go. It's okay.
Well, you saw his back in the testing pool, right?
Yes, I did.
Who?
His name is Cowboy.
Would you mind saying that?
I don't really want it.
I don't really want it. Unless I only want to see Cowboy fight if he fights Tony Ferguson.
Okay.
But they let Tony Ferguson juice up too. I think that's the only way it's fair.
Why even go in the testing pool?
Cowboy's been fucking juicing.
Why even go in the testing pool? Just say fuck it.
Cowboys can come back.
Just go back.
Dog. Anyways, UFC Fight Night. I think I skipped this one too because it's Brandon Royval versus Taira. I do not think I watched this one.
I don't remember. I kind of don't remember it, but I mean the main event, which was the Royval versus Tatsuro Taira. Royval won that one. That was the fight of the night for Royval. Brad Tavares versus the Iron Turtle, Jung Young Park, and then you had Grant Dawson, another win versus Rafa Garcia. And I'm just bringing up Grant Dawson again because that's another win for him. Moving forward, and you guys need to pay attention. Next.
Let's see.
Fight night.
UFC Fight Night again. We have Hernandez versus Pereira, and that
Fluffy.
is Michelle. Michelle Pereira. That was at the Apex.
This is why Fluffy.
That was a good fight.
His last fight is why he got this main card, right? The main event for this one was because he put himself on the map, and now he's being known. We're right here. Yes, we are. That was fight of the night. Fluffy versus Michelle Pereira. You end up winning that one. Rob Font versus Kyler Phillips. This was an upset for us because Kyler Phillips, the Matrix, was doing really well, and Rob Font just decided to be like, no, I'm going to beat you today. Fight of the night was Darren Elkins versus Daniel Pineda. Darren Elkins. You were going for Pineda. I remember that one because I was a little nervous about going for Elkins, being like, no, I'm just going for the dog on this one. And I thought Pineda was still a dog, but Darren had more of a dog in him on that fight during that night. So well done for him.
And then probably the event.
Let's just skip this one. Let's not talk about this one. Let's just skip through this one.
UFC 308 Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway.
And still.
Performance and new BMF.
And no. That's not going along with it. Performance of the night for him on that one. So well done.
Yeah. Only man to knock out Max.
Yes. Also, performance of the night on that one we had on this cart was Hamzat versus the Reaper.
Yeah, and we can talk about that one a little bit because I think Hamzat was in a spot where a lot of people kind of counted him out.
Yes.
Whitaker was on a fucking tear up to this point,
especially after just beating Sticky Icky on that last one.
Especially the way that he did, and so seeing how Hamzat
handled it,
destroyed,
stepped
Whitaker.
Up.
I would say destroyed. Man.
Easily.
Like he
shot from halfway across the entire cage and got him against the fence.
Whitaker.
Like what?
It kind of gave him back his boogeyman title.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, like he is a problem.
Who's going to stop that?
And I don't
stopping
see
that?
A lot of people doing that. Now there's one person who, and I love that he came out and said that he'd like to fight him at some point, is Izzy. I think that'd be a great fight. But
I see him taking him down.
He's going to take him down. Now I think for striking wise, I think it'd be cool to see because I do want to see somebody that is able to match Hamzat on the ground, but beat him in the feet because I want to see what Hamzat's going to do. Because the kink in his armor is that Gilbert Burns fight, that Kamaru Usman fight. Those are the two fights that I think people saw and said,
and they need to watch that.
We could beat him.
Yes.
I could beat him.
He's beatable.
But then you see this fight and you're like, I don't see anybody. What are your thoughts about that?
So the talk around the community is the one person that potentially could beat him is the guy that can wrestle, which is Bo Nickel. And I still am not. I don't think so. For some reason, I just don't think so. And I think Hamzat is just a little bit above. But in order to be able to alleviate or minimize Hamzat's wrestling and his pressure, is somebody like that has such a pedigree of just such a high level of wrestling. There's levels to this game that he might be able to do it, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know who's going to come in and do that. Like, I don't know who's going to do it.
It's going to be interesting what happens
when he fights DDP. When he fights DDP.
We'll see.
Because DDP is fighting Strickland January 18th, and then he's going to move forward. Yes, he does.
Wouldn't mind seeing Strickland against Hamzat for the belt, though. That would entertain me because you know why? Strickland will stand.
He will.
And his takedown defense is not bad either. So that could be a good one.
Could be.
After that, anything else? My fault.
Sorry, which one?
That was 308.
308.
Your favorite card of the year?
Yes, we do have a couple more because we just talked about Hamzat. Performance of the night. Shara, the one-eyed pirate versus Armin Petrosian. That's a good one. Armin Petrosian's somebody to reckon with within the division, right? Fight of the night. Matus Rabeski versus Mitabat Orobi. This is Matus Rabeski, what I just talked about a little while ago. He was the negative 500 favorite. That's the same guy right now that just ended up winning. So he beat Mitabat Orobi, and that was a good fight by him because it was fight of the night. So well done for him. Other than that, that was good on 308.
Okay. After that, we had a UFC Fight Night Moreno versus Albazi.
In Canada. Brandon Moreno ended up winning that fight. Also, on that fight, we had Aaron Blanchfield versus Thug Rose. On that one, Aaron Blanchfield ended up winning. The performance of the night went to Jasmine Jazadavicius versus Arena da Silva. I don't remember that one. Performance of the night was Dustin Stoltzfus versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Another performance of the night was your guy, Charles Jourdain versus Victor Henry. And another performance of the night was Youssef Zalal versus Jack Shore.
That performance of the night.
Yeah, okay. A lot of them. I know. That's why I brought those up.
Right. UFC Fight Night after that. At the Apex, we had Magny versus Prates.
Who do you think won this one, guys? Who do you think won this one? I know who won this one. His name is Performance of the Night, Carlos Prates versus Neil Magny. We also had the coming out party of RDR, Rainier de Ritter versus GM3. You had Performance of the Night, Mansour Abdul Malik versus Busco Tudorivas. I don't even know that fight. What's that one? You had Chuck Buffalo, Performance of the Night versus Matthew Semmelsberg. That was a good little fight to watch. You also had Performance of the Night, Damon Blackshear versus Cody Stamen. Unfortunately, Cody Stamen, that might be your kind of exit towards the door. I don't see you going anywhere towards the title anymore, even though I like watching you fight. But Damon Blackshear should be moving forward.
And then we had the big return in Madison Square Garden, UFC 309. John Jones returning against returning Stipe Miocic. We finally got the heavyweight showdown that John has always wanted. And John showed us why he is by far the fucking GOAT.
Performance of the night.
The GOAT.
Yeah, performance of the night. Also on the card, there was a fight of the night between Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler.
That was a fun fight.
That was a fun fight. That was a really good back and forth. You also got Bo Nickel versus Paul Bearju Craig. And performance of the night, you had Ramiz Brahimajit versus Mickey Gall. And performance of the night, you had Oban Elliott versus Basil Hafez. Oban Elliott, guys. Told you about that one. Pay attention. Other than that, that's good. Go to the next fight night.
And then we traveled all the way to China because for this UFC fight night, we had Peter Yan versus Davison Figueiredo, my guy.
I know, upset.
He did not get it done.
Did not get it done. Well done, Peter Yan. He's moving up. The performance tonight was Muslim Salikov versus Song Kenyan. Performance tonight was Gabriela Fernandez versus Wang Chong. And then you had performance tonight, Zhang Mingyang versus Ozzy Diaz. And another performance tonight was Ming Shi versus Feng Shannon. I'm sorry I can't say those. Again, this is over in China. So we have a bunch of Chinese fighters over there. So well done to them.
All good. It's all love.
We got two
then
more.
after that, we had the last
two more.
Oh,
last pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah.
Last
pay-per-view of, I think you had two more.
No, we only had two more.
So we had the last pay-per-view of the year, UFC 310. My boy Pantoja against the newly recruited, first-time fighting, and he got a championship belt or championship title fight right as he came in. Asakura, and it did not go well for Asakura.
It did not. That stuff shows how much Pantoja, how good he is. He's already beat everybody else in the division. That they had to bring somebody from another organization to bring them in, who's the winner over in Ryzen, to bring him in to fight in the UFC. Just to give him a chance. And
they had to try something. Took
him out. So performance tonight was Pantoja. And still, you also had Shavkat versus Ian Gary. Well done, Shavkat. You had Cyril Gahn versus Alexander Volkov.
Shavkat, man. A lot of people...
I was wondering if you're going to go back to that.
A lot of people say he's a real deal, but I think Ian showed everybody that he's not really... indestructible.
He's not indestructible. Also, once you get to the top 5, top 10, that's when your level starts to kind of like even out with everyone else, and it kind of right. So therefore, it's going to be a little tough once you get to that top of the heap. Cyril Gahn versus Volkov. We know that Cyril Gahn won that fight.
But did he though?
Volkov,
did he though?
No, he did not. When you leave the cage afterwards, knowing that you lost before they even put the hands up, Cyril Gahn, you lost, bro. Right?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck what you say about your broken toes or whatever, bro. If you want to fight, you're going to stay there.
You're going to stay there. Get my hand raised. Get my mic.
I was pretty pissed.
Say, I'm sorry about my performance, but it's going to be better next time.
I felt bad for Volkov. Even Dana White went up to Volkov after the fight. So who knows what's going to happen with that. I would be okay with them running that fight back. But
or at least don't knock Volkov down. At least give him another fight at the top of the heap, right? Something. Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
Happy for Dom. Not so happy for Anthony.
I think that was just sad to watch.
Because
somebody just wanted to get beat up.
He did. He just wanted to get something. He wanted to feel something.
Yeah.
Because his best friend just died, and I want to feel something.
Best friend and coach.
Throughout his entire career.
Yeah.
Right. Not some random guy that he brought in. His entire career.
Yeah.
So for him to go in there, he should have not taken that fight. Even Michael Bisping said on their podcast, being like, Anthony, you shouldn't have gone into that fight. Right. Just because your mentality was just completely wrong. And Anthony Smith admitted it later, being like, I shouldn't have fought that one. I was so emotional going in there, but he didn't know until the day of. So it's kind of one of those like, I'm already here. I might as well fight and make my money. Kind of.
Yeah, that's when you kind of wish like somebody else
would just step in.
Something.
Yeah.
But
like maybe his corner or something and just be like, performance of the night was for Vicente Luque versus Themba Gorimbo. Well done, Vicente Luque.
Yeah.
Shows that you still need to be at the top of the heap right there. This one was a little upsetting for you. Evlov versus Sterling on that one.
Yeah.
Well
but
done,
not
Evlov.
really, because, Sterling did good. Sterling did come out. He did well.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it could go either way.
It could have. I thought Evlov just had a little bit more.
No. Like, at all.
No. It helps him a little bit.
I think, if anything, it showed like Sterling's still a fucking major contender.
Yeah.
And that's up in weight.
It is. It is up in the weight. Performance of the night. Chase Hooper versus Clay Guida. I like Chase Hooper, bro.
I do.
He's one of those guys. It's like you have no idea that this dude's
he's gotten
big time.
He's gotten better since the very first time we saw him, and he was young.
He was a little kid coming in. He looked like a little boy. Yeah. Like, dude, grow up. Now he looks like a man.
And his ground game's really good too.
Very good.
Very
good. He was working with Mikey Musumeci And Mikey Musumeci taught him or showed him that last submission that he did, and he actually used it during his next fight, and that's why he won his last fight.
Mikey's in the UFC, in case you guys didn't know.
He is. Performance of the night: Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Lucas Brzeski. Just had to throw that out there because it's performance of the night. Now, let's get on the last card of the year.
So the last card of the year, UFC Fight Night, we had the return, the much-awaited return of everybody's favorite Joaquin Buckley against Colby fucking Covington.
Well done. Well played in Tampa, Florida to end the year off. We had fight of the night: Cub Swanson versus Billy Q.
That was fucking amazing.
That was great.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I was so hoping he would retire.
Oh, I think I wanted him to put the gloves down.
I wanted
him to.
I'm
out.
That's it.
I'm out.
That's it, Cub.
He didn't want to just because he wasn't planning it, right? Like, how do you go out on a high? You want to do it again, is what happens, right? Like,
Fuck, dude, that's like the perfect.
It is.
I wish they had the horse right as he left the octagon. So,
off.
An imaginary sunset. That's when you need the spear. The spear. Give us the sunset. Let him just ride off.
That'd be dope. That'd be real dope.
Man.
He did say in the interview afterwards, guys, I think I'm done. He thinks he's done. He has nothing else to do. And what else of a better way to go out besides that?
Yeah.
Right? Why would you want to go out on a loss? Go out on a high like that at the end of the year to be able to do it at 40 years old, to be able to prove it. Like,
yeah, that was sick.
Well done. I've been a Cub Swanson fan.
Fucking Kobe retired.
I know. By the way, I got to shake Cub Swanson's hand when we were at Apex at the beginning of the year. That's why it makes it a little bit more special for the rest of us over here.
Met his family too.
I know. We talked to his wife and everything, and that was awesome.
Real cool.
Yep. We had Manel Kape versus Bruno Silva.
Manel coming out.
Wow.
Manel coming out.
Wow.
Man, I thought he was going to lose that fight too.
You did. You were on Bruno Silva's side of that one.
Manel is coming out.
Yes.
A little cocky in moments, showed a little bit of personality, and got it done.
This was the first time that I actually respected Manel Kape because he came out not trying to like talk some shit to people and get in people's face. Dude, you're a little guy. Like, stop trying to step up to Izzy and stop trying to like do these things. Like, let it go. Just be who you are. And he was respectful on this one, and he showed an amazing hands on this fight. It was very entertaining to watch. So well done, Manel Kape. I kind of hope he does get a title fight. He's maybe the one guy that is going to get the next title fight against
I feel
Pantoja.
like they announced something for him.
Pantoja or Manel?
Manel.
Really?
I feel like they announced something. Like, he has somebody else before getting a title shot. And it's somebody else that's big time too. I don't remember who.
Okay.
Maybe they'll announce that next year.
Shout out. Okay. Also, we had performance of the night: Dustin Jacoby versus Vitor Petrino.
Mm-hmm.
Vitor Petrino was supposed to submit him, and
supposed to win.
Dustin Jacoby just about to be like, nope, I'm taking you out.
Mm-hmm.
Performance of the night also: Michael Johnson versus Otman Azitar. Sorry, Michael Johnson, I'm not going to talk shit on you anymore. I actually said before that fight that this might be your last fight in the UFC. No. You got another 3 or 4 in you. I'll give you that if you fight the way that you just fought during that fight. So well done. We also had Joel Alvarez versus Drakkar Klose.
Yeah.
Joel Alvarez, too entertaining to watch. Sean Woodson versus Fernando Padilla. See, you're on board with Sean Woodson now. I know you are. Miles Johns versus Felipe Lima. Felipe Lima, guys, this is probably going to be one of my picks for next year to potentially hold the belt, a chance. And last fight was Davey Grant versus Ramon Taveras. You picked Ramon Taveras. I went with Davey Grant. Davey Grant's going to be another one that's going to be moving up through the division, and that's going to end the fight night.
And you know what? There's actually one more fight on there that I actually enjoyed. Adrian Yanez against Daniel Marcos. I thought that was like fun, entertaining. It did go to split decision. Marcos ended up winning.
Mm-hmm.
Marcos, I think, is somebody that everybody should watch out in the bantamweight division.
Yeah,
watch out for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be one that I think could maybe make a big push.
He could,
but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. It was a close one. That was a close one.
Yeah, it was tight. Other than that, that is the recap of the whole year, guys.
That's a long one too. Jeez,
yeah,
that was over an hour.
Real long.
Nice.
Real long. Oh,
What'd you
guys. Yeah, I can make some announcements actually because we do have some fights.
Couple fights.
UFC has put out
for the beginning of the year.
Yeah, beginning.
Let's go for that. Let's see what they got.
Yeah. Okay, January 11th, guys. We have UFC Fight Night. We have Dern versus Kibas.
Apex.
It's going to be your main event.
Apex.
After that,
I'm going to try to get us to go to that one, by the way.
Okay. We have Ponzinibbio versus Harris.
Ooh.
On that card. We also have Almeida versus Al Hassan.
There you go.
On that card. And
Chris Curtis
versus Roman
Kopylov.
So that should be entertaining. Let me see.
Puna versus Medic. Doctor. The doctor. Ooh. Pretoria?
Tulio versus Preteria. That should be a good one. I think Preteria gets it done.
It should be.
We'll leave that one at that. And UFC 311.
Wow.
This one, I think,
Anaheim.
To me, is going to be, again, it's a big one. It's going to be in Inglewood at the new Clippers Arena. It's going to be in LA for those of you that can make it. Makachev versus Sarukian. Big fight. Now, that's not the only big fight on this card, because also on this card, we have Davishvili defending his belt against Nurmagomedov. We also have Dariush against Moicano. We also have Yuri Prohaska versus Jamahal Hill. We also have Kevin Holland against De Reader. We also have Johnny Walker against Guskov. We also have Talbot versus Barcelos. We also have Almeida versus Spivak. We also have Reese versus Dumas.
Good Lord. What a card, bro. Shut up.
We also have
Grant Dawson
against Fajeda.
Wow. Wow.
I think that's it.
Wow.
I think that's going to be it.
Tercios versus
Ricky
Soposh?
Tercio versus Soposh? Jesus Christ.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
What a card.
That's it.
What a card.
But then,
what a card.
UFC Fight Night. This is going into Saudi Arabia, so you already know who's going to be on this one. We have Israel Adesanya versus Imavov.
Mm-hmm.
Not just that. We have the one-eyed pirate, Magomedov versus MVP.
Who you pulling for there?
Oh, dude,
the one-eyed pirate.
The one-eyed pirate. But I'm telling you this, it's going to be no takedowns.
No, it's going to be close.
It's going to be all striking.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you have Nurmagomedov versus Oliveira.
Vinicius Oliveira. Watch that one.
And then Terrence McKinney's coming back against Hadzovic. He looks so different without the dreadlocks now, huh? And Jordan Levitt is fighting against Al Sawadi.
Okay.
And then
Pavlovich,
Sergio Pavlovich against Rosenstruck.
Why is that so down on the card? That's Sticky Icky
against Muniz.
Oh, Andre Muniz. That's a good one.
Then right after that, we have UFC 312, Duplessis versus Strickland. You guys see what they did there? It's a UFC Fight Night that goes into
the next one, because the winner of that one's potentially going to get the title shot.
You already see what they're trying to do. So you have Duplessis versus Strickland. That is taking place in Australia.
Who's code?
Title
fight. Tatiana Suarez
against Tatiana Suarez.
Come on, Weili.
I'm very high on Tatiana Suarez, so that should be a good one. Really, really good one. Nolan versus Borshev.
Okay.
Jenkins versus
Jack
Santos.
Jenkins.
Tafa versus Teixeira.
Oh, Jimmy Crute.
Jimmy Crute will be fighting against Perchino. Might butcher that one. And then the last one that they have on here, UFC Fight Night.
February 15th.
Jared Cannonier versus my guy RoboCop. Guys, Gregory Rodriguez.
Winning that fight.
Yeah, he should.
Hey.
You have Flash Gordon against Fernandez.
Hey, it's a good one.
Vieira versus Malkoun. Estevan versus Aguilar. Walker versus Mays. Dantel, I think is his name.
Yes,
right?
Dantel.
Avila versus Calvacanti.
And that's beginning.
And that's it. Now, I know we announced these, but we all know anything can happen until these fights take place. Anything can happen until they step into the octagon. Injuries, suspensions, whatever the case is. We know that could take place. But at least we have some really, really good fights to kick off the year from January all the way till February. So that's something to look forward to.
UFC 311.
Yeah, that's one. That one's
That's going to be a banger card.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Nasty.
I'm already asking for that, Dale. Wow.
Nasty.
Fun to watch.
Yeah. Can't wait for that one. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I know we went over the whole year, but Cariss, anything you want to mention on any of that stuff?
Not really.
No, I think we got it all out.
We talked a lot on that one.
All out. Well, I think the next episode we do is probably look at who we're going to pick for.
That's what it is.
For the next
Dark Horse, and picks of the year.
Yeah,
that's
so
what it's going to be.
That should be a good one.
Trying to set up an interview with my coaches. That's the other one. I'm trying to get my coach, Josh Jackson, and Kevin Burshuk into the show so they can talk about it. Kevin did the AIGA competition, which is the one where each team is competing against each other. So 10th Planet versus other gyms, and they're trying to do that. And they won, and they're going to be going to Kyrgyzstan, something like that. They're going somewhere overseas where they're going to be fighting for actual money.
Okay.
And so my coach actually won during his fight, and which let them go to the next round. So I'm going to try to get him on so that we can talk to him and talk to Josh and get an update and just see what's going on within the jiu-jitsu world.
Nice.
Stuff like that.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And then we also have ADCC coming up January 18th that Cam and I are going to compete in.
Yes, sir.
Cam's first competition, guys. Yes. Yeah. It's going to smash.
We are ready.
He's not going to be able to cut too much weight. He's not getting down to 170. I'll tell you that.
I'm going to hit that 155.
No, you're not. You are not hitting that 150. What do you weigh right now?
Right now, I am at, you ready, guys? 190.
Yeah. Do you know what? You know what the guys at 155 are walking around at right now? 180, 185.
I can fucking do that. If I could drop down, oh boy,
that's a tough one, bro.
That's a tough cut.
That's a tough cut.
But with the right coaching staff, which I do have at City Boxing, I know anything is possible, and I look forward to competing January 18th.
Before you send it out, I want to thank everyone for taking the time this year to listen to the show, guys. We love doing this. We enjoy doing this all the time. This gives us our outlet to be able to talk about the UFC and talk about anything fighting, jiu-jitsu, whatnot. We love just getting together. We don't really care how many people are actually listening. Of course we do. But we just enjoy this on our own, guys. So thank you for taking the time. Tell your friends, tell your family, like, subscribe, let everybody know. We'll give you some gear, throw us some stuff. Send us some questions for the beginning of the year. Tell us who you think is going to be winning during some of these fights.
100%. I couldn't have said it better. Thank you guys for tuning in. I look forward to having another amazing year next year in 2025. I can't wait. So you heard it here from the MMA Game. We just want to wish you guys a happy new year. Be safe out there. We look forward to seeing you guys. And next year, for the first episode, the MMA Game is out.
Later.
See you next year.